In the top stories, Federation observes 105th National Day of the Republic of China, Taiwan. Law enforcement leadership benefits from RSS Executive Development Course, and tourism officials participate in a major promotional drive in the UK. The details on these stories and more after the break.
Hey, what you doing? The time passing. Next thing you know, it's a Christmas event and there's hustle and bustle and fretting. Every year can't be the same thing. At Courts, everything waiting. The best deals, the best prices. Christmas this year, give you niceness. Come to Courts, you're invited. Let's go! Down to Courts, you know we've got the best in show. To be satisfied, come on, let's go. Down to Courts, that's where it's going down. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Berridge. A celebration in observance of the 105th National Day of the Republic of China, Taiwan took place on Friday in the presence of government officials. In addressing the gathering at the Ocean Terrace Inn, Deputy Prime Minister Honorable Sean Richards congratulated the people of the Republic of Taiwan.
We celebrate with the people of Taiwan in the same way we celebrate the birthday of a brother, because for us, the Republic of China has been a brother. From our own inception 33 years ago, we have had the support, encouragement, and love of the people of Taiwan, and for this we say thank you.
Honorable Ian Liebert also congratulated the Republic of China on Taiwan on the 105th milestone and pledged the government's continued support.
On behalf of the government and the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, convey congratulations on this, the 105th anniversary celebration of the Republic of China on Taiwan. Our government wishes to pledge to continue to strengthen and deepen our relationship. We remain committed to advocating your cause in the international arena. We vow to continue being good friends. And as the old adage says, a friend in need is a friend indeed.
Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, His Excellency George Go-Wei-Shu, spoke of his country's achievements over the past millennium. He spoke specifically of the 33rd anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China, Taiwan.
In the eve to celebrate the 33rd anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties, I would like to pay special appreciation to Dr. the Right Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons and his then government. Without his firm and resolute decision in 1983, Taiwan cannot be the first country to establish diplomatic ties with the Federation of St. Christopher and the Nevis. Because of his wide and far-sighted determinations, we can stand here to celebrate this anniversary.
The National Day of the Republic of China, Taiwan is observed on October 10th. Two members of the High Command of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and a senior officer in Her Majesty's Customs and Excise Department are currently in Barbados attending the Senior Executive Development Course being conducted by the Regional Security System Training Institute, RSSTI. The two-week course is being held at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, School of Business, and is designed to equip the senior leadership of the region's national security organizations, police, defense force, prison, fire, and customs services with the training to steer change and maximize results within their organizations. During the 2 weeks, the participants will cover topics such as strategic decision-making, how to lead strategic change initiatives, leading collaborative teams, cross-cultural and cross-generational team management, emotional intelligence, and other relevant subject area matters. Attending the course from St. Kitts and Nevis are Assistant Commissioners of Police, ACP Mr. Terence James, ACP Mr. Andrew Mitchell, and Her Majesty's Customs and Excise Department Senior Assistant Comptroller Acting, Ms. Lania Archibald. A delegation of tourism officials and partners from both St. Kitts and Nevis, led by the Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, left the Federation on Saturday to participate in a major promotional drive in the UK. This will be the 4th year for the Destination St. Kitts and Nevis Roadshow in the UK, which showcases the unique attractions of the destination to ultimately grow the UK market. Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, said he was pleased to lead such a delegation, which also includes hotel partners and destination management companies. The week-long initiative that runs from Sunday 9th to Friday 14th October will span London and the upmarket countries of Surrey and Chester, where tourism authority officials and their partners will network and conduct businesses with key members of the travel industry and the UK media. Following the UK meetings, tour and travel agents will visit the Federation with the aim of familiarizing themselves with the Federation's tourism products. After the break, Ministry of Health hosts Dental Health Week. We'll tell you more when we come back. In an attempt to save the children of our nation from years of cavities, the Dental Department in the Ministry of Health is hosting a Dental Health Week under the theme Gums Plus Care Equals a Smile. Everyone smiles in a different language. The week of activities started on Sunday with a church service at the Calvary Baptist Church in Sandy Point and continues today with a media presentation to highlight some of the upcoming activities. Chief Dental Officer in the Ministry of Health, Randy Liburd, spoke of the importance of the vendors' education drive on Tuesday and Thursday, which targets the vendors who often sell to children.
We want to encourage them to sell a package where they can actually add a bottle of water to the snacks so that the children, they are forced to drink the water to dilute and to wash off all the sweets off the teeth. We also want to ask them to substitute probably 2 or 3 days a week, at least have half of the trays with healthy snacks, probably like some sweet, some fruit bowls and some dried fruits, and in that way going to help to eliminate all the high incidence of dental caries that we're seeing amongst the school children.
Liburd also mentioned an inaugural dental quiz competition, which is the highlight of the Dental Health Week.
This is a competition designed amongst all the primary schools, both public and private. To date, we have 16 schools participating, and it's going to be for grade 4 students. There are 2 students that are going to be representing each schools. We want to increase the dental knowledge among school children. We tell them about brushing and flossing, but then we still see that they have a lot of cavities. So in actually knowing the process of how things work, then they have a better idea of the importance of caring for the teeth.
The Dental Health Week takes place from October 9th to 14th. Officials within the Ministry of International Trade are pleased with the steps that have been taken to afford gamer developer Xavier Shaw the opportunity to attend the upcoming Global Services Exporters Conference in Chile. The St. Kitts and Nevis Coalition of Service Industries selected Shaw as the perfect candidate to represent the Federation because of his passion for the game development. Jasmine Weeks, Director of Trade Research, said she was very impressed that as a young person, Shaw is very well focused and believes that this serves as encouragement for other young persons.
We believe that this is something that is of encouragement for the younger persons. We would want to express the importance of that particular area of focus, the service industry, how important it is. We believe that that is an area that should be introduced into the schools, into the education system, in their curriculum at the very early stage, from primary school level.
The director said that persons underestimate the youth in terms of their potential and that the service industry has potential for their growth.
So we'd want to encourage persons to venture into that area rather than the traditional going after becoming a lawyer, doctor, but parents generally want their children to gravitate towards. We'd want persons to be enlightened as to the positivities and the opportunities that exist in the service industry.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Charlton Edwards, also congratulated the young man.
Quite often, young men are stigmatized, and therefore having someone who has shown some positivity in terms of moving upwards we will continue to support as much young entrepreneurs as we can.
The Global Services Exporters Conference in Chile will be held from October 12th to 13th. It will be fully funded by the EU through Caribbean Export Development Agency. Coming up, Haiti is suffering an upsurge in cases of cholera. The details when we come back. Haiti is suffering an upsurge in cases of cholera in the wake of Hurricane Matthew as people struggle to find clean water. More in this report.
Every 10 to 15 minutes, new patients arrive at hospitals around Haiti, exhausted because of the upsurge in cholera cases in the wake of Hurricane Matthew. Here in Port-à-Piment, there were some 60 people suffering from the waterborne disease by Sunday afternoon, and 4 people had died. We've had water here for a while, and it's needed to be able to try to bring down the number of cholera cases. We need treatments to be able to save these people. They're desperate, said this hospital worker. At least 1,000 people have died since the hurricane first crashed into the island less than a week ago. Thousands more have had their homes and livelihoods ripped out from beneath them. This man said, "I'm a fisherman. This neighborhood is made up just of us and merchants. We lost everything. We have nothing. The houses weren't well built, so that's why they came down. We have nothing and nowhere to go." Rural communities in particular are lacking clean water, food and shelter, prompting a public health crisis which is set to get worse before it improves, health officials fear. An estimated 10,000 people are in shelters, and although United Nations aid has begun to arrive, debris and floods are making communities difficult to reach.
Coming up, we're speaking with NEMA officials about the upcoming International Day for Disaster Reduction week of activities. Upfront is next.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Upfront. With me in the studio is Mr. Vincent Faw, a pointman in District 2, and Mr. Ralda Claxton, who is the manager for District 8, and they're both representatives from the NEMA Community Disaster Committee. How are you this evening?
I'm fine.
I'm doing good, thanks.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you. Okay, so this week is International Day for Disaster Reduction, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you're going to be telling me a little bit more about your week of activities to commemorate this day.
This year, as NEMA celebrate with the international body, what they did in order to get the community more involved in the disaster risk reduction, they asked the different community, which we have 8 districts, to take part in the activities. So we had a church service yesterday where each district, along with members and friends, visit the church, and that was the Wesley Methodist Church around the island. And then from today until Thursday, we have persons from the different district would be coming in and giving update as to their district on Upfront, and then we'll have a walkthrough between Saturday and Sunday where persons will just be doing walkthrough within their community.
Okay, so do you have different activities for the different districts?
Well, it's up to the different community to involve whatever activity that they see fitting to benefit their community and the residents in their community.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so what type of activities do you have in your district?
Well, we normally have meetings, community meeting, where we involve the community, especially in these times where we actually need more volunteers. And so we tell them about NEMA and what we do, and that we're interested in having more persons who would be interested in being volunteers.
Okay. All right, so tell me, what level of community involvement participation is there?
Well, from our district, we are having a hard time getting persons to be volunteers. And so we're setting up a drive where NEMA wants to update the database, so registration form has been sent out to the various districts, and district managers and assistant managers collect the forms. So we walk around and we ask persons to show their interest to be involved in volunteering on the NEMA Disaster Preparedness Management Committee. For now, I can say for District 2, even though we are not fully active, there are persons who have showed that in case of anything, they can be called upon. But we just don't want you to be called upon when a disaster strike or something. We are looking for persons to at least come in. If you ask for a community meeting even once, just come in. In that way, persons will be better informed. They will know where the shelters are, who are responsible for the shelters, and who are the leaders in the district zones. Because, for instance, in our District 2, is Central Basse, which is a very large district, and we have zones, and persons are heading those zones along with other sub-bodies. So those are some of the information we would really like to be giving persons. So the cry is that for Central Basse District 2, we're looking for persons who show interest to come on board and volunteer the time and service of such nature.
Okay, so is there a theme? Do you have a theme?
Yes, for this year is Live to Tell, raising awareness, reducing mortality.
Live to tell, so you have to survive.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and the final event for this week is the district community outreach. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
In that way, persons would be going out and visiting elderlies, checking for vulnerable areas, looking to see the conditions of how your community is set up, making persons aware of what hazards are, and if any do happen, how we're going to go about. Because the first instance, you have to warn persons, you have to prepare. In case a hazard strike, hurricane, mudslide, whatever, persons are aware of where, what to do, what to take with them if they have to go to a shelter, where the shelters are, who is responsible for the shelter. So the whole idea of the outreach is to be walking on in your community, talking to persons, getting ideas, suggestion, also informing persons, educating them, and making them aware of what the hazards are and how best they can prevent. Because the whole idea of international is to avoid loss of life, damages to infrastructure, and that sort of stuff.
All right then, if that's all, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Upfront.
It was a pleasure, and we trust that persons out there in the different community take warning and come on board, because NEMA is from danger to safety. Thank you.
All right, it's been a pleasure having you, Mr. Claxton.
Been a pleasure also here. Right. And I too want to encourage especially young folks in the area that they would come and be a part of NEMA.
All right, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for joining us. That's it for Upfront this evening. I am Shaira Flanders. Stay tuned. More news is next.
Can you afford to lose everything? In times of uncertainty, ensure you have the security of Quartz Payment Protection. When you shop with Quartz Ready Finance Gold or Ultimate Plan, if you lose your job after 6 months of making payments, our redundancy coverage ensures that the payment on your account continues for up to 12 months. Don't risk losing everything. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get the payment protection plan that protects you against redundancy, disability, death, and loss of item due to natural disaster, fire, flood, or theft. Quartz Ready Finance with payment protection. Quartz, bringing value home.
The Mexican peso and U.S. stock futures rose on Monday as investors saw less chance of Republican nominee Donald Trump winning next month's presidential election after the second televised debate. Ivor Bennett reports.
The vote is still 4 weeks away, but the market, it seems, has already made up its mind. The second U.S. presidential debate merely reinforcing the notion of a Clinton win.
For those that think that, like I do, that Trump has a very, very low chance of being elected, it might be a good time to be long global equities.
The debate itself was seen as a draw, but it was Trump who had ground to make up after the release of a video from 2005 in which he's heard talking about groping women. The punches were thrown, but no knockout blows landed. Asian shares and US futures both creeping higher, while the biggest mover was once again the Mexican peso, at one point up as much as 2% against the dollar.
I think some of his answers are still vague. He represents an unknown, which we would be taking a chance on if he were to become president.
One thing he has been clear about, though, is a plan to cut corporation tax from 35% to 15% as a way to stop big companies keeping profits offshore.
A cut in corporation tax might very well see some of these pools of cash repatriated. It might have an impact on global M&A activity. Yet on the other side of the equation, it could conceivably be regarded as pretty positive for the health of the US economy, which, despite all efforts, continues to struggle to generate escape velocity.
The same could be said of Trump too after last night. All the effort, but many think there'll be no reward.
Eurozone finance ministers say Greece will be able to receive 2.8 billion euros in bailout loans after deciding that Athens had progressed sufficiently with an agreed reform program. More in this report.
Eurozone finance ministers have agreed to give Greece more bailout aid. After meeting in Luxembourg, they said Athens has made enough progress on reforms. The aim is to eventually disperse 2.8 billion euros in bailout loans. French Finance Minister Michel Sapin speaking earlier. Greece is fulfilling its commitments, and when a country fulfills its commitments, European solidarity is conveyed. The payments will come in two parts, and they'll depend on a future review of reforms, including a privatization program and an overhaul of the energy sector. But the IMF says it won't give any more money until the Europeans grant Greece some debt relief. The IMF can have its own requirements. They want the issue of debt to be discussed and its burden to be significantly relieved. It's a debate that we can have with our friends in Germany. The Greek government says its debt pile will equal 315 billion euros this year, just over 170% of GDP. The country's current bailout programme is its third since 2010 and worth 85 billion euros. It runs out in 2018.
Up next in sports, Bravo Blast 91 as Windies draw tour game and Road Cycling Championship gets underway in Qatar. Stay tuned. Darren Bravo hit a brilliant 91 as the West Indies drew a three-day tour game against a Pakistan Cricket Board Patrons 11 on Sunday in a timely innings ahead of the week's day-night test. In the first in Asia, the 27-year-old from Trinidad smashed 12 boundaries and 3 sixes to anchor West Indies 297 all-out on the final day of the day-night match being played with a pink ball at the Sharjah Stadium. The PCB Patrons 11, who had scored 308 in their first knock, were 26 for 3 when the match finished. Mohammed Hafiz 9, Ahmed Shehzad 4 and Shan Masood 9 all failed to press their claims for a return to the Pakistan team for the first pink ball test, which starts in Dubai from Thursday. Bravo added 93 for the third wicket with Shai Hope 76 after resuming at 174 for 2. The second test will be in Abu Dhabi October 21st to 25th and the third in Sharjah October 30th to November 3rd. The UCI World Championships competition began in Qatar on Sunday. For the first time in its 96-year history, the cycling event is being held in the Middle East. Here's more.
It's a major event. Nearly 1,000 riders from 75 countries will descend on Qatar to compete in the World Road Championships for the first time in the Middle East. Men, women and juniors will battle it out in the time trial and team time trial for the honor of wearing rainbow jerseys. The competition is hot, but the heat of the desert also means the event had to be shifted a few weeks later than its usual September schedule. And there will be other challenges thrown at the riders as well.
Unfortunately, one of the major obstacles the riders could face is the wind. Also, the flat course is not for everyone.
Might be different course, but the format is pretty much the same. The competition will kick off with men and women's team time trials. The race will leave the education city and wind its way through a circuit that will feature all the week's races. On Sunday race day, the traffic will be blocked and the roads will be handed to cyclists. In the 15.2 kilometer stage, which takes place here at the artificial island, the Pearl, the cyclists, men and women, will loop through and around the island. They will be doing 7 laps before they head back to the finish. The flat nature of the event means it will be a fast and furious race. It will give the sprinters a sense of hope and also could be a home advantage for the local team.
Cycling is not as big here as it is in Europe. I took interest in the sport when I saw a lot of top riders come here to compete, and I wanted to be like them and have a chance to represent Qatar in the best way that I could.
With the men's Tour of Qatar running since 2002 and the women's since 2009, UCI Chief Brian Cookson says that Qatar and the Middle East in general is cementing its place in the cycling world.
Absolutely, and road cycling in particular has traditionally been a European-based sport, and that will always be where the heartland of cycling is. But we can bring road cycling to all parts of the world. There's a massive amount of interest here in the Middle East.
The Tour joins a long list of major events now competing annually in Doha. Organisers are hoping there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. Sana Hamouche, Al Jazeera, Doha, Qatar.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg does not agree with the recent protest by NFL players against violent oppression of black people in the United States. In fact, she thinks some of the actions are dumb, disrespectful, and ridiculous. More in this report.
Katie Couric released a half-hour interview with Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg Monday. In the interview, Ginsburg was not kind, in her opinion, of Colin Kaepernick's refusal to stand during the national anthem. Ginsburg told Couric, "I think it's dumb and disrespectful. I would have had the same answer if you asked me about flag burning. I think it's a terrible thing to do, but I wouldn't lock up a person for doing it. I would point out how ridiculous it seems to me to do such an act."
When we come back, we'll have another look at the stories that made the headlines. Recapping the top stories, Federation observes 105th National Day of the Republic of China, Taiwan. Law enforcement leadership benefits from RSS Executive Development course, and tourism officials participate in a major promotional drive in the UK. And that's the end of the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Calla Berridge. Goodbye.